Hey guys, welcome to the Frack and Friend Show. My guest of honor today is Miss Stephanie Fuller. Hello, Stephanie. How's it going?
It's going really well. Thank you for having me.
It is an absolute pleasure. You being the first and guest of the Frack and Friend Show. We're going to kind of just go ahead and get started with a little background about you. So tell us about, growing up, what was the things that you were watching on television, if there was television back then, and
Right.
also if what were you listening to as a kid?
It's a really loaded question.
Nice.
I've already put on my night cream, but I was born in the 80s, and my house, we didn't have cable, but I remember very vividly watching the Disney Channel Nickelodeon at my grandmother's house, and getting into all the cartoons and kind of pop culture, and then the Mickey Mouse Club a little bit. I was a little young, but my parents were really young as well, and so they were listening to all kinds of things, mostly just radio things, but from early late 80s hip hop and early 90s hip hop to the pop. I remember us listening to Journey in Chicago and things like that. And then my mom and dad, both country music too, as well, all the time. It was all kinds of music all the time. But lots of the little hip hop jams that came out of that era as well.
Yes.
Belle Biv DeVoe.
I know them.
With Bobby Brown and such. I remember growing up like that. And then I call myself a second generation blockhead because my mom, I'm pretty sure, put New Kids on the Block into my head.
Wow.
When she was probably 21, 22, she's like, listen to this. You're going to really love it. And then I became this little 5-year-old obsessed New Kids on the Block fan who never got to go to a show, right?
Wow. So even today, have you gone to a show?
Oh,
we'll get to how many. Just start thinking about that question. But that's incredible. You named a lot of great people. Belle DeVoe, of course, New Edition, Bobby Brown. Whenever you said like that, it just brings me back to Every Little Step I Take, because it's like that. Those are some amazing people. First of all, I've never met anyone that said their parents listened to hip hop before. So, not in the 80s at least, or even 90s even. I don't know, my grandma, my father, my mother, they weren't listening to hip hop. Everyone was listening to the good old stuff, like the Moody Blues and Bee Gees and, Bon Jovi.
It was mostly my dad. And he's still I don't remember. It was not very long ago. He went and saw Run DMC. It was just maybe 5 years ago. He went and my first concert was because my dad wanted to go take me to see, or he wanted to go see Janet Jackson.
Ooh.
And so he was like, so I need somebody to go with me. So let me take all these teenage girls and my wife.
That's awesome. So you grew up with just sisters?
Oh, no. That was my friends.
Oh, that's good.
another loaded question, Frack. I'm the oldest of 5.
Sisters and brothers?
Yeah, I have 2 sisters and 2 brothers.
Okay. That's a good little variety.
19 years older than the youngest 2, who are twins.
Wow.
That's incredible. Total generation.
2 decades, basically?
Yes.
Wow.
I'm closer in age to my parents than I am to them. My one sister and I did grow up kind of together. We're just 2.5 years apart. So we have a lot of the same music memories and a lot of that early 90s stuff we did together. We didn't get a little brother till 94.
Wow. Another great spinoff question off the top of my head is, compared to your younger sisters and yourself, what's the music generation like with them versus what you listen to?
I have no clue what they listen to. That's the difference.
Come on.
I don't know what they listen to. Not because I don't like music or today's music, but because I don't even think I don't know if they're that into music, but
Whoa.
Well, but there's, and I wouldn't, even if they said a band name or something, I probably wouldn't know who they're talking about. It's weird. And then I'm also very country now. So
okay.
I listen to mostly country and not just radio country, like deeper country, but and none of my siblings mess with any of that.
Wow.
So it's a really different kind of, it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's compared to myself, and I don't know what my sisters listen to either. I grew up myself and 4 sisters. And they range from like, I don't know, late 30s to 24, I think is the youngest. And I'm just about 30. So I guess I'm the middle child. I don't know. I mean, I'm the only boy, so I consider myself special. But I don't know what they listen to. But I'll tell you what, I grew up, kind of helping raise my nieces, and the things they listen to, nowadays it's kind of like something you said earlier. I don't know if they even listen to music. It's everything on YouTube. Mm-hmm. Nowadays it's weird because growing up like you and I, we listen to music pretty much nonstop. Mm-hmm. We grew up in the age of where music was timeless in a lot of ways, but also upcoming and just, things in the industry were changing constantly from, especially in the 90s to the 2000s. But it's very strange to kind of think about, things that people listen to today. Because I've heard some of the new music. Now, for me personally, I am not really into much of anything that releases today. First of all, I don't listen to the radio. So the only time I ever see something is when something on YouTube pops up, or maybe if it's a ad or something on Facebook, or someone says you got to listen to this. So you grew up, kind of having an education with music, by your parents. I think we can all thank our parents, especially myself as well, for the education in music. Like I learned very early on what's good music and what's just bad, So let's dive into the 90s, which is known for us, and I'm sure, well, for myself, I'm sure it's for you as well, as one of the best decades, times for music, movies. I mean, what was it? Windbreaker jackets. I mean, we had it all. So let's go ahead and dive into your experience of living in the 90s. So let's talk about, what were you listening to? What were some of the shows and movies that you really enjoyed watching? I know you have a lot, so just put it all down on the table. Right.
So because I was born in 1984, I was 6, 7, and 90. Right. So I remember all of that. I also have a memory like, what a steel trap. I remember everything. Like I remember 1990 watching the ball drop. I remember that.
I wasn't even born.
Right. I remember everything. I can remember what I was wearing on this day in 1992, if something happened that day. But so I could never succinctly say anything.
Yeah.
But it was just from the beginning. I mean, there were some new kids and that boy band in there, and then it kind of went back to country with my family and my mom. And I'm just talking about music, but like 94, 95, I'm listening to pop. I got my first own CD player in 97. Like I'm in 7th grade. Wow. And my first album was No Doubt, Tragic Kingdom. And then I had an Alanis Morissette single, or maybe that was earlier. It all kind of went. I remember my own first albums that I owned either on cassette or CD were Gloria Estefan, Mariah Carey, Belle Biv DeVoe, Bobby Brown. And then it went into like, once I was in middle school, what the kids were listening to. I had No Doubt. And eventually I got an Usher CD in 1998.
Ooh.
This is right when they're putting the parental advisory sticker on it. And
Wow.
my dad is sitting there with my Walkman listening to it. And he takes off his headphones and he goes, that man is like the next Babyface. This song is amazing.
Wow.
This is glorious. And then he goes, but you're not listening to it.
Oh, no way.
Right. I was like 14, I think.
Man.
I kind of went back into the hip hop and R&B, but you know, just what was on the radio. I didn't dive deep or anything. And then still country. And then, you know, that fateful day that my friend called me and said, you have to watch this Disney special. There's these guys called NSYNC.
Oh.
And then
Man. That's the end of the story.
That was when it all changed. I was still listening to, I listened to the pop rock songs. I listened to pop, whatever was popular. I was pretty much listening to that. I wasn't diving deep into any particular artist other than NSYNC.
So what was your experience with the Backstreet Boys?
I didn't know who they were until I found NSYNC. Like I said, I was listening to R&B and hip hop. So
yeah,
I didn't really have experience. I was listening to the local stations that played R&B and hip hop. So I wasn't listening to much of that. And if I'd heard it, I wouldn't know who they were, and I probably wouldn't have cared. And then once NSYNC came out, and I, you know, of course, fell in love like every 14-year-old girl would do. I found out there had been this other boy band sitting around, you know. I never
making
hated
hit.
I have only seen them once though.
Really?
Yeah.
The Backstreet Boys?
Yeah, when they toured with New Kids, I saw them, but I saw NSYNC 10 times.
Wow.
So we're going to go back to the earlier story because that's why my dad took to see Janet Jackson, because he said, I want to see Janet Jackson and these girls going to go crazy and I can get them to go with me and I won't look like an idiot. So he took myself, my friend, my sister and her friend, my mom and my little brother. We sat in the nosebleeds, but NSYNC opened for Janet. It was glorious.
Come on.
Yeah, that was amazing.
The Velvet Rope Tour?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
I can't remember, but it was epic. Just seeing Janet was epic too. Like I had hers was one of my cassettes, or 2 or 3 of them were Janet. But that was the first time. There was, of course, many, many other times, but I never got to sit up close for NSYNC. It was always like we were always in the back. I was paying for my own tickets, or somebody bought me a ticket for my birthday. You know, so we were always in the back. But it was like, you know, I think it went to 10.
I mean, that's pretty incredible considering I haven't gone to one for either, by the way.
Well, yeah, you're like my brother's age. He was like a little freaking kid. And my mom and dad would take us all and bring him too.
Flash forwarding, but my very first concert was probably in like, I don't know. It was like New Kids on the Block, Nelly, and TLC for the main event tour. That was my very first concert.
Oh my gosh.
And so you have to understand, like, and before that, I went saw Vanessa Hudgens for 2 songs and she was lip singing at Blue Bayou Water Park. So I left. Like, so like my very true first concert was a main event tour. And when I tell you that was life changing for me, I'd never seen, you know, I always saw it on TV, I always see the performance on YouTube, but it changed everything about me to where it, you know, going to concerts became an addiction. But you really started early. I don't know how old I was actually. I don't remember, but I was young.
So that tour would have been like 2013 or
I'm going to say 2013. Yeah.
Something like that.
Because my girlfriend and I met, 6 years ago, and I believe the tour was like 2-3 years before that. And so, yeah, but
I was there. Hey, real quick note. I'm not that old, because the first time I went to a New Kids show, the very first time they reunited their first tour back.
Oh man.
The ladies all around my sister and I were like, "Why are you so young?"
Oh wow, come on.
Because a lot of them are in their 40s, and because we were so young when we were listening to them when we were little.
Yeah.
So we're actually I say we because my sister and I are ride or die when it comes to new kids.
Of course.
We're pretty young.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, not real young, but
yeah.
But the ladies were blown away at these 23 and 20-year-olds at this new kids show. They're like, how did you get here? What are you doing?
Wow. You know, what's funny is like people would say that to me, and I'm sure it's because I'm a guy. A lot of people didn't understand, like, oh, you're here with somebody. I'm like, oh no, sweetheart. I'm here for them. You know, like, you know, me and Vicky got together, 6 years ago, and we were going to concerts like 3 or 4 times a week sometimes, but definitely once or twice every week for the first few years until we saw everybody we could think of or who had come here. But I've seen some amazing legends, amazing concerts, and, you know, but I will say this. The boy bands and the 90s people in general, the concerts that we've gotten to see from them, and even the people of the 80s, they really show off. Like, mm-hmm. They really show up, and it's just a whole different kind of vibe, you know.
they know they want to bring us back to that, like
bring back the time
like back then. Yeah, like that's what new kids with their tracks now kind of makes when they had a full band and everything. I love.
I know, like, Backstreet Boys had a full band for like Millennium, and it was for the first few tours, and then by like mid 2000s they went with the tracks, which, you know, don't get me wrong, is great, but like you just said, there's nothing like live music, like a live full band that includes trumpets, that includes horns. I mean, I'm talking about everything, you know. But welcome to the day of age. There is still full bands out there, but like I would say for the boy bands and
the boy bands,
you know, for sure.
Because I go see certain country artists just because of the band, like. And then of course there's rock bands that, of course, they have their whole band.
But some of them mime. We won't mention any names, but there was a person who. You know, they've said goodbye about 15 times in their career, and, you know, they've been caught miming, and it's very sad. But hey, they pull off an amazing show, right?
Yeah, there's nothing like a concert, and I became addicted when I was 14. My children, or at least my oldest 2 children, went to their first concert when they were 6.
Where did they see?
We went and saw Miranda Lambert.
Oh, that's good. And
then I took them to see Eric Church when they were, I think, 7 or 8.
Come on.
So, you know, big arena show, like big shows. And so now my daughter's addicted. My son is like, it's too loud. Like
oh, come on.
He has no cares. And my husband's the same. My husband does not dig concerts. All up front for me. I'm not sitting in the back with you.
Exactly.
Like, you want to get your nosebleed seat? Fine. I'm going to be in the pit.
Yep. It's like, I mean, you know, it's so funny because there's been a few times where we would buy like lawn seating, and we'd always move up to the front. Like, you know, we'd say, hey, look, there's like 16, non-taken chairs over here. Like, let's go move up 18 rows. You know, I've done that quite a lot. But I am all about the front row. I'm all about the pit, the DNA circle. I've done it all. It's truly an experience. Though I don't mind if for instance, for DNA, I saw it twice the first go around. And we had done the pit, the DNA circle. And then we had done like the 10th row on the floor. So, you know, we're going to see like probably 2 or 3 more dates this year. And I don't mind being, because it's going to be all amphitheaters. So I don't really mind being on the lawn. Mm-hmm. You know, I've already been, you know, as close as you can. I mean, just fist bumping the guys all night and high-fiving. And
the lawn is where it's at.
And I find it the fun. Energy. I mean, it's like Woodstock.
Nobody is really there to like impress anyone. They just want to go hear them and see them. It's fun, especially country music concerts. I'll sit on the lawn all day long. Like,
so I don't think I've been to a country concert. I'm gonna admit that to you.
You're missing out.
But I'm very particular. I'm very, very particular about country. See, I believe and love the old school country. Like,
Oh, me too.
Like I don't really get this, and maybe you can kind of turn me on to it, but I don't get this pop country
Oh, no,
that
no, no.
everyone.
That's the thing. That's what I
Okay,
don't.
so we're not gonna be.
I don't
Okay.
do. No, like somebody will say, "I'm going to go see Luke Bryan." I'm like, no, thank you.
I don't listen to that country though. Like the last, okay, it's so crazy, but I remember all this. But the last good song that I heard that I was like, okay, I could dig this was "I Drive Your Truck."
Oh, yeah, that's a moving one.
Like, but maybe that's
I
why.
don't like it, but it's a moving song. Yeah.
And there's also another song called like "More Than a Memory."
If that's Garth Brooks, that I do like that.
I think it is Garth Brooks. When you dial in 6 numbers just to hang up the phone.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. See, I didn't know it was Garth Brooks.
That song brings the tears. Like, that's a really good song.
It's already flowing out my eyes.
Garth is a legend, so you're just going to listen to him, regardless if it's pop or not. But
by the way, he's going to be in Baton Rouge, about an hour away this weekend.
Yeah, I'm broke. I can't come.
I need to consider going because hopefully he'll sing that song.
I don't know. He didn't sing. I went to see him. I've only seen him once, and I sat in the literal back row of the whole arena, and he did not sing that song. But I don't think it's one of his popular ones. It's right before he decided his music wasn't going to be available anywhere except Walmart, and then whatever he does now. It's only on Apple, or it's only on.
Oh, so he's off of Spotify?
He's not on Spotify. That's been for a long time. Maybe Amazon Music. It's one very specific place where you can get his music. Anyway.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm a 90s 80s classic country. 80s 90s country. Even if it was kind of poppy, but then now I listen to the country you'll never hear on the radio.
And who are some of your artists when it comes down to those kind of people?
Well, I listen to Eric Church is my all-time favorite artist
I've heard of him. Never listened to him, but I've heard of him.
All-time favorite of all times. And he is on the radio because he's made it really big, but he's different than other people. Same with Miranda Lambert. But then actually I can't even tell you who I've been listening to recently because I haven't really been listening to country recently.
Me neither.
I've been doing my boy band stuff.
I mean, look, we all have our preferences. My Spotify is filled with, I think it was 7,033 songs. I looked it up today. Most of that is from the 90s.
Right.
Like, it's so funny. But I do have all the new stuff as well. Well, not the new stuff, but certain different individuals like Nelly, or I'll download all his new albums and songs. I just don't listen to, the pop country today. Like first of all, I don't listen to the radio. I have Spotify. What's the point in the radio? I mean,
traffic and news.
And I don't know. I can just ask, my Google, hey Google. Well, I can't say it too loud. I'll start talking. But what's traffic looking like in the next 3 miles? Oh, well, there's 6 accidents, Caleb. And there's an 18-minute delay. It's crazy, by the way, how far we've come from using maps to Google Maps, right?
Yeah, because that's probably when I went to one of my first concerts and drove myself. I printed the directions from MapQuest, right?
Man, can you imagine what the kids must do? Like one day you should really. So do any of your kids drive?
Oh no, my oldest twins are 12.
Okay, well they're gonna be there someday. One day you should really do this. Print out instructions from like a 50-mile place, whatever, and tell them hit the road and good luck. See what they do.
Let me know when you get there.
Let me know if you get there. I'm
going to give you this old flip phone. You can't use GPS. You can only text. Right?
Lock them out.
Text me when you get there. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I remember riding in the car with my parents having actual maps.
Me too.
Or at least a map book.
Bigger than my arm. Longer than my arm.
But then I had MapQuest where we would print the directions. But once
it was breathtaking when my dad got a TomTom.
Oh gosh, yeah. I had a Garmin.
Oh yeah, and the funny thing, it might have been the Garmin's too, but I remember having to update it. Yeah. would have to like stick in an SD card or whatever to update it, because it would be wrong if you didn't.
Right.
And there was a lot of updates on that thing.
Well, even your, I don't know about your car. My truck has a GPS in it.
Yeah.
It's wrong all the time, but
not mine.
I just
mine
plug
is
it in.
Always right.
Mine goes into my like Android Auto, Apple Drive, or whatever.
Me too.
Plug it in, and then it just shows up Google Maps, so it's fine. But I have never had a car that had any of that until not even 2 years ago. That was the first time. So all my other cars, it was like I had to use my phone, or I had to like know where I was going. The car wasn't going to tell me.
Oh, so is that the monster truck that you have? I call it a monster truck because I've seen a picture. I think it was you in a garage, and like and it was like this little miniature car versus this big old thing next to it. I was like, man, she ain't lying. That thing is huge.
It's not that long. It's just tall.
It is.
But it's really nice inside. So it has all the fancy bells and whistles and maps, and
it gets you to point A to point B.
Well, yeah, with lots of money and gas, but yes.
So
I just came back from Nashville.
So by the way, let's talk about that real quick. First of all, you mentioned the Mickey Mouse Club.
Oh, yeah.
I did not grow up watching it, but I did know Tony, or about Tony, over many, many years, but it wasn't until we had spoken, I think one of the very first times, and you had kind of mentioned about Tony Lucca, and I was like, why does that sound familiar? So then I ended up looking him up, and I'm like, dude, like it just brought me back to all the memories. So let's start off with, tell me about your experience of growing up watching the Mickey Mouse Club. Wait, is it Clubhouse?
Mickey Mouse Club. And I think it was called like the all new Mickey Mouse Club in the 90s. But so
tell me about your experience with watching that.
I was still pretty little, and because we didn't have Disney at my house, I only got to watch it like if my mom worked late and I was at my grandma's late, right? So but I remember Tony Lucca. I remember their faces. I remember some of the numbers they did and the skits they did. And then when NSYNC came about, of course we had Napster. And so we'd go back and download the tracks that they did with JC singing with Tony Lucca on the Mickey Mouse Club. Those tracks became like and then Disney reran Mickey Mouse Club, and I recorded all of it. I still have it on VHS tapes. I don't know if I have it. It's like Mickey Mouse Club season 1 and 2 and 3. Mickey Mouse Club. And then so we go to an NSYNC concert. It was one of the last ones. I was probably already in college or close to it, and we didn't really know who the opening acts were. I don't know, this guy on the stage in a cowboy hat or something and starts to sing, and they said he was Tony Lucca, and I was like, what?
No way, come on.
Yeah, but then so I know people who are Tony Lucca fans who are super super MMC fans. I'm not that. I remember it, but I was never a gigantic diehard because I think I was just a little too young.
Yeah, me too.
Really, right? You weren't born.
Very young.
But then, the whole tie-in with NSYNC is where it brought it back. And then he released an album, and it was right when I was in college, like right when I went to college and started kind of being independent, and I was obsessed with it. So obsessed. I bought a guitar I already wanted to play the guitar, but I bought my guitar because I heard his album and I just wanted to play. I wanted to play guitar like Tony Lucca.
Yeah, who doesn't?
Anyway, that was and now he's my guitar teacher.
Wow. Tell us about that then. What's it like having him as your guitar teacher?
It's so weird. It's like just normal. It doesn't make me nervous or anything anymore. At first I was a little nervous, but he already kind of knew who I was, and I had, I don't know if I'd really met him and talked to him, but other than online, because it was during the pandemic. But it's surreal sometimes. People, like a lot of people I know, don't have a clue who he is, but they know I play guitar, and they know kind of the story. Or I play guitar, right? learning.
We can all play guitar.
Right. But he literally, it's so weird, but I bought my first guitar when I got it as a gift because I asked for one. It was like a Walmart kids guitar.
Hey.
And then I went out with my little credit card in college and bought my first guitar because I'd been listening to Tony Lucca and I wanted an acoustic guitar. I had one, but I really, really wanted it now. Like I wanted to learn to play. And then I could play like 2 songs maybe before he became my teacher. And then,
I mean, it's not bad. Where are you now?
I can play a couple songs.
More than 2.
More than 2.
More than
maybe
2.
5,
that's what I heard.
Right?
That's not bad.
Right? No, and I could learn. There's many songs I could learn now that I know what I'm kind of doing. But it's just been always something I wanted to do. So it's kind of funny to look back and think, I had a crush on him when I was 7. He was so cute, right? And now I'm just like, hey, Tony, what's up?
I know, a lot of people, I've had a lot of people in the shows and a lot of people don't understand my thinking when I'm on the shows and I'm completely calm like this. And, or I'll be like, I text so-and-so today. And they're like, you did what? And I'm like, I just had to ask him a question or he called me and said this or, such and such. And I don't know, like you just said, like, you're calm about it. He's like a friend to you. And, it's just like no, I
mean, he's a wonderful human. So it's still just nice to be in his presence. He's lovely and just so loving and caring and meaningful. And he understands and knows who I am. And, that's just, it's nice, but I'll still fangirl the F out. Like
definitely.
The same with all the boy bands too. Like they might say my name and I get all excited, but then inside I'm like,
like they tag me on Twitter.
They like my comment.
He gave me a heart.
Right.
He says, "Can't wait to see you this summer."
That's me. I'm like fangirl, but also at the same time, I'm totally cool. I really am.
Yeah.
I really am, Frack.
I know. I know you are. I know you are. So like you and I actually, you and I first met when I was going to go to an O-Town show. It was in Houston. And I had asked a question about some things about what to expect with LFO and O-Town. And you had private messaged me some things. And that's where the friendship kind of kicked off. You had me prepared for a lot of things. And going into one of the best shows I've ever been to in my life. Like, it was just it wasn't orchestrated. It didn't feel like something orchestrated. It was literally like watching these guys go on stage, have the best time of their life, or, however long it was. And which it wasn't the Pop 2000s tour. So my very first O-Town and LFO show was them two and nothing else. Mm-hmm. So like, I feel like I got the best of the best because I went to Sweet Stock like 3 weeks after, and it was like Ryan Cabrera and Chris Kirkpatrick and different things. And I was just so upset because when Trevor, we were backstage and Trevor was like, I was like, "Hey, y'all doing my song, right?" Which was, Skydive. And he says, "Nah, not today. We don't have time." I'm like, "Wait, what?" And so, they had played for like 25 minutes and everything. And Brad was about 10 minutes. But, so we have known each other for a little while now. And then, of course, you went to 90s Con, which was a humongous thing. And I had you on the previous show talking about the crazy experience of that, which every day someone's messaging me about 90s Con even. And I'm like, oh, I said, we had a representative there, but it wasn't me. Which, by the way, I still regret not going officially now. But there's always this year, or is it next year? I don't know. One of the years, the next one coming up. But so one of the last things I want to talk to you about is, because we're gonna have to get you on a couple episodes, because like I feel like we didn't even do anything.
I have so much to say. Make me leave.
I mean, it's so sad. It's so sad. But like, I'm sure people will request you to come back, and if they don't, we'll still have you back. But But you really grew up, loving the same people that I do. Recently, New Kids made a song called "Bring Back the Times." So when it comes down to you, what was your time? What was the moment that you wish you could stay in? It's probably the 90s decade, of course. I'm going to say that. But what was your moment that you wish that you can bring back?
That's so good. Like, if I got to go back, I would probably go to, this is so weird. I don't know if anybody else would say this, but like 7th and 8th grade. And so 97, 98. And that's just before I found NSYNC.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know why. I think it's just like, it was much simpler then. I didn't have to be a fangirl then. I just got
you could be a kid.
I was being like a kid who was also being becoming a teenager. Like I was listening to, Puff Daddy and Mace, and
oh, nice.
And, like going to school dances and being innocent, but not.
Yeah. And that,
like,
in that age, not.
Coming into my own as a person, like starting to get those, little crushes on actors and things like that. And it was, I don't know. Yeah, I think that was, I don't know. I think that's where I'd go back to. Like my Adidas, not Adidas, my Reebok Classics.
Yeah.
And my Adidas t-shirts every day. Adidas. Different color every day. Adidas.
That's incredible.
Like,
that's
so
incredible.
So simple.
Yeah.
And I think cute. I mean, the bangs, sometimes it would rain. You'd have to fix that. But otherwise, it was like ponytail, Adidas, Reebok Classics.
Those are that's definitely a time, especially what you just said with Adidas, that I truly remember. I would not necessarily go back to that age when I was in 7th and 8th grade, because those were probably the worst years of my life in school.
That's why I said it was weird, because I think a lot of people would never do that. But it was like the time that I really did. And I wouldn't go back to 6th grade. And high school was okay. I just didn't, it wasn't.
I mean, I don't know. Like I was, let's see. So let's just say 90, because I agree. I would say, from 97 to 2002 was like, the years that I would want to go back to. And only because of music was just, people listen to the radio. You had Creed, you had Backstreet, you had NSYNC, you had BB Mac. You had all these people consecutively every single morning going to school. As, just to remember people I would
Avril
remember.
Lavigne.
Oh my goodness, especially then. Oh, yes, indeed.
Right.
I mean, you had some incredible people. Now, after this, I'm probably going to go in my car and turn the radio on if it even works. I don't really know. But because I do want to hear what people are listening to today. But, one of the most recent songs that I've listened to and said, you know what? This isn't bad, until this girl started rapping. But before that, it was okay. It was Girls Like You by Maroon 5.
I don't know that I've heard it.
So I don't know, like the melody of it and the vocals, everything was just on point. And then I think Nicki Minaj or Cardi B started rapping, and then I was like, okay, I'm done. But like, I don't know, like it was like the good songs like that. I
had my Maroon 5 CD cranking in college. Like the other time I would go back to would be right when I went senior year of high school and when I first went to college. But that was 2002.
That was a good year.
That was a good damn year for music.
Yeah.
And, I was independent, but I had my boyfriend and I was going to college. And I was so cool. Except I went to a Christian college where I wasn't allowed to do anything, but
just listen to music.
But the music, like Nellyville.
Oh, that's a big throwback. That's a big throwback.
And then Avril and I can't remember everything, but the music I had jumping in my Honda Civic.
Yeah.
In 2002.
I mean, anybody who's on Disney Channel, even during those days, and because I remember, and I'm sure you remember this too, but I remember the time when everybody who was on Disney Channel was becoming a singer. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's worse now because everyone just uses auto-tune and, they just sound so lovely. But back in the day, anybody who was anybody on Disney was a singer, became a singer. You had Hilary Duff, you had Raven, you had anybody and everybody.
All of them.
But which brings me to the last point, Disney Channel in those days of growing up. First of all, you had the DCOM, the DCOM series that started happening in the late 90s. And, there was banger after banger after banger. I mean, I just watched Under Wraps the other day, the OG, not the remake. The remake, I lasted about 10 minutes. But the OG, and that's one thing I love going, and I'm sure you might feel the same way, but like, I love going back and watching the DCOMs, Xenon.
Oh,
what?
Oh, no.
Disney Channel original movies?
Well, I didn't know what you meant by DCOMs, but I get it now. Xenon, and freaking Smart House.
Zoom.
Whoever plays that guy, what's his name? Protozoa?
Protozoa, yeah. Okay.
He was in a show. It was This Is Us or something. And I'm sitting there like, that's Protozoa. And my husband's like,
yes, he was. I'm pretty sure This Is Us is what we watched. Well, we're caught up now, but at the time, yeah, I think he was in an episode.
Yeah, he was. It was just a season. I'm not caught up, but the Xenon and Smart House was my absolute favorite. So, but Disney Plus has them all, so my kids adore. They love it.
Something to talk about too is when it comes down to your kids. Like for us, we thought it was the greatest thing ever, but how is it watching it with these generations of years and years later, and them being your kids? I mean, that's got to be pretty surreal. I mean, I watch it with my dog, and I just think it's amazing.
They like I said, my boy and girl twins are 12, and then I have a 5-year-old, and we have all the streaming, but there's some certain Disney movies that they don't really get into, and there's some other movies they won't get into. But then every now and then one comes up. They adore Salute Your Shorts.
Ooh.
And
yes,
all
indeed.
that, and yes. Kenan and Kel, and
Nickelodeon, man.
Yes. And then if I don't know on Disney that we've watched anything older, but
Halloween Town.
We haven't seen that.
I'll take that part off.
But they have they love Smart House. I said that 3 times, but they
Pat.
And I love that it's Katie Seagal. But
hush, little baby, don't say a word.
Oh my gosh. What was my daughters watched The Raven, all the old Ravens and the new Ravens. I don't think my son really gets into any of it by himself, but we have the Paramount Plus and we have Disney Plus. So it's the Nick and the
that's great.
So I've got the little one watching the kid Wonder Pets and Diego, but that's 2000s maybe. But
oh yeah.
But then we go back and we'll watch, and then we'll turn around and watch Turning Red, and my kids are like, "Mom, this is about you." It is.
That's awesome, man.
It is.
That's awesome, man. I don't know. I'm really thankful that we grew up in the era we did, because I think if I grew up in the era now, I don't know, because I was having a conversation today with someone and we were talking, and she said she went to go visit some people and everybody was texting each other, sitting next to each other through their phones. And she's not the one who texts or gets on her phone. She's like me, loves conversation face to face like this without being on your phone. But I just didn't grow up like that. I mean, we grew up where cell phones were introduced, the iPhone, well, really, the media kind of cell phone, the smartphone was really introduced that way. But I'm really thankful I grew up without those kind of things.
When it comes to that specific, the smartphone, you were probably such a different generation than I was, because I was probably 20. And you were 13, right? Or
Yep.
something. So I was, or 20, I got my first smartphone when I was 23. So you were
Wow.
still like a child. And I was pregnant, like and having babies. So it's like that generation thing right there. But I had my first cell phone that you could play the snake game on, and it stayed in my glove box so that I could call if it was an emergency, right? But I was 18 and that's all I had. My first kids didn't have a tablet. Nobody had tablets, and now all they have. They're like that. It jumped so quick, but I'm thankful that we got that last bit.
Yeah.
Like that last
Definitely.
bit where you had to even still, you had to go to NSYNC's website to find anything. There's nothing on social media. You had to actually type in www.nsync.com.
That's right. Oh yeah.
To find anything. You couldn't just open up your phone and see what they're doing.
No.
And while that's really cool, it's like the fact that we got to see that change as fans is cool. Like, I mean, I don't know if you've heard my story about how I kind of lost LFO for 10.
No, you can definitely tell it though. This is a platform.
Right? No, so I was, I had to stay on brand.
Yeah.
This was like a year ago today, maybe, that they recorded it. So I loved my LFO. It was NSYNC, and then I was in love with LFO. And they kind of disbanded and went their separate ways. And this was when you could get on a website, but there wasn't social media. You couldn't look them up to see what they were doing. There was no Twitter. There was no Instagram or Facebook. And then once there was Facebook, bands weren't on there. It was college students. I was one of the first ones, by the way. But then you get to, I get to 2000. I find out Rich passed from somebody posting something on Facebook, but not anything official from LFO. And then I go to a New Kids show. Everybody says, get on Twitter. Donnie will talk to you. So that was like my goal of the summer, was to get Donnie to talk to me on Twitter. But because I started following New Kids and like talking on there, some producer dude, random people follow you on Twitter just to see what people follow them. And it said some manager, producer, some kind of line for LFO. And I clicked the link. This is 2017. I clicked the link and I was like, wait, what? And they're getting ready to release a song and go on tour. It's like, what did you?
Wow.
Cool to me. What? Like, I totally missed it. It's like I didn't think to look them up.
Yeah.
I thought, especially once Rich passed away, like I didn't think to try to find them. And it was so surreal to then go and start the whole thing now. And now it's like, Brad knows me. Life complete. That never would have happened without social media. But would I have ever even liked them if there had been social media then? Like if there had been YouTube then, or maybe there was, but if I'd been watching YouTube then, would I have ever cared about LFO? Yeah. It was such a different thing. Like there's so many boy bands, and if there was social media, they'd all be the same. Yep. But because of record labels and the way things used to work, you got your Backstreet Boys and you got your NSYNC, and everybody else just kind of back up. So it's different times. Honestly, I kind of lost touch of LFO, after, I'd probably say, I don't know, early 2000s. Like it's just been years and years. Yeah, they stopped doing anything. And, I remember I was kind of trying to decide like who to get for the show at the time. And I just remember like, man, what about that Summer Girls song? And then finding out that, Rich and Devin both passed at that time. I was like, what? I never heard anything about this. And then of course that was the same time the LFO story had just aired. I just remember it being everywhere on social media with all the boy band groups. Everyone was talking about the LFO story. And I don't know, I was like really sad that I kind of missed the opportunity to see it. And I still tell Brad even now, like,
please re-release it. Really have so much love and respect for Brad, because it's different when you have the Jackson 5 without Michael, Michael's gone, and it's just, everyone else is still around pretty much. But like for Brad to be the solo last remaining member.
Right. And kind of like the quiet one, right? Like
he is.
That he's doing this is special. It's really special. You can tell that he takes it completely seriously.
Yeah. It's very honorable. I mean, personally, I don't, and I know we talked about it on this episode, but I just don't know how he does it. And then finally being able to see that in person was just a whole nother level. But yeah, I'm a huge LFO fan. I wish, things would have been different, for Devin and Rich, but I know they have to definitely be proud of everything that Brad's doing, because he's literally honoring the legacy and everything, and every day in his walk, even.
I didn't come here to cry.
I know. It's like, man, try to be strong.
You didn't tell me to cry. No, he really, really, truly does everything he does, and he'll be jovial and happy and tell stories and is wonderful, and he's hilarious and everything, happy, has fun. But then it's all about honoring Rich and Devin and what they had as LFO. And it's LFO whenever I say, well, I'm going to see O-Town and LFO. I used to say I'm going to go see Brad, but now that I've gotten to kind of into the, and gotten to talk to him a few times, I'm going to go see O-Town and LFO.
Well, are you going to any upcoming shows?
Yes. I'd have to look at my calendar to even tell you. There's at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, me too.
Cleveland, the ones, Cleveland and Xenia, Ohio, and then there's one happening in Baltimore that they've listed, but doesn't have a venue listed yet. I'll be at that one, and then there's one in New Jersey that I'll be going to. That the opening act is my buddy, and we'll be at that one as well. So that's 4. I'm trying to get my daughter to one, but the ones that are closer, like Baltimore's the closest, I think. It's 21 and over.
Okay. Well, she's not there yet.
I owe her a Brad VIP, and Brad is the sweetest of all times. And he has said, you just get to come with your mom. You just get to come. Doesn't matter, because she's his little LFO. But there's definitely going to be probably more than that as well. And I have to just stop buying VIPs, or else I'm really going to have to get a second job.
That's definitely understandable. I'm definitely going to the Dallas and Austin shows, because it's literally actually what's funny is I'm going to Dallas and Austin, and then I have to go to Houston, I think, for the Backstreet Boys concert at that time, or some concert that I'm going to. It's like Dallas and Austin is 2 hours away from each other. And then from Austin to Houston is another few hours. So it's all going to work out perfectly. I was talking to Floyd yesterday for a little bit, and he had asked about what shows am I going to. And I'm like, definitely those 2 and Peachtree City, because a friend of mine lives 10 minutes away. And so I'm going to 3 for sure. Yeah. And probably VIPs, every single one.
I just have to, I'll probably do LFO VIPs. It's the O-Town VIPs that get me in trouble.
I can't do them. No.
But there's, they do their selfie line and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm
okay with that.
I'm on Dan and Trevor's Patreons.
Oh, nice.
So they already make money off of me,
I mean, I just go up to the guys and say, hey guys, and they know who Frack is now. So
yeah, well, they know who I am now because of all the money I give them on Patreon. But I'm a traveler now, and now that the pandemic is not over, but kind of over, and everybody's kind of touring, I'm like, I can go everywhere. And then I look at my bank account and I'm like, I can't do that anymore.
Nope. Sometimes you just have to slow it down.
Yes. You need to make a radius. I can't go up. I can't go more than 150 miles or something. Something has to stop.
It is over an hour, which means I have to let you go, and you have to go as well because you have things to do, people to see, literally.
I do have a meeting.
But look, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll definitely be doing this again. There'll be a part 2, part 3, part 7. But this is the Frack and Friends show, and we'll see you guys later.